Shalom everyone, and today we're going to talk about the sign of Scorpio, the month of Heshvan or Mar Heshvan, as it says in many places, okay, in the Jewish tradition. And let's see what do we have over here. Now, the month of Heshvan is known as a month that is not so easy. It is known by many great Kabbalists that this is a month of a lot of troubles, and that's why people say why it's called Mar Heshvan, which means the bitter Heshvan. It's because it's a bitter time. It's always a month of economical decrees, depressions, and stuff like this. And many times along modern history, we had the greatest financial disasters. They always happen in the month of Heshvan. It does not mean that every year in the month of Heshvan we have a financial disaster. However, if there's supposed to be a big one, most of the chances it's going to be in Heshvan. Especially this year, that we are in a very, very shaky situation all over the world because things are changing drastically, whoever didn't notice. It's a time, it's not a time to invest. It's not a time, you have to be really careful during this time because things have the nature to fall. In Erev Rosh Chodesh, just the eve of Rosh Chodesh, we had the collapse of the social media, some of the most important social medias around the globe collapsed, and that collapse, part of it is part of the influence of Heshvan. Heshvan means, as we learn from Kabbalistic teaching, especially from Sefer Yetzirah, that the letter behind the month of Heshvan, Scorpio, is the letter Nun that symbolizes fall. Falling of whatever symbolize what is wrong, what is false, what is, what's the word? What its time is up. Let's go a little bit more than 100 years ago. There was the collapse of the Russian Empire and the Tsar. Instead came the Soviet rule. It's not that the Soviet rule, the communist rule, was full of justice and equality and amazing, but relatively to what happened during the time of the Tsar, the world moved forward. It was horrible, but relative, it was a kind of what is not functioning, what is false has to fall. And along that time, what fell with that, it's all the big empires. It's not just the Russian Empire that fell, it's the German Empire, it's the Habsburg, Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the rise of the nation states. Again, that came out finally a few decades later with Nazi Germany, that came later on with, as we said, with all the atrocities of the communist regime. But we have to understand that there's something that is happening in this month of crushing all kinds of, situational structures that reign and control, and they came to their expiration date. So that is happening this month, and this month especially, a lot of pressure, because if you notice, the whole world is going right now through a lot of uncertainty, a lot of instability, a lot of things that we thought it's going to stay there forever. Finally, humanity reached a stable state, and then we realized it was fake, and it's time to go, and we see that happening around us. a lot of structures, political, financial, that it looks like what they're still doing over here because it's over. And some of them, why are they going? Because we trusted them. It's not an easy time, and this month we have to be really careful because, as we said, a lot of big structures, especially financial, when it's coming to expiration date, usually the big expiration date is on the month of Heshvan. Some examples that I can repeat. So if we had the Russian Revolution, that was in Heshvan, the Communist Revolution, some 104 years ago, I think. We're talking about 1929. Okay, 12 years later, the stock market in New York collapsed. That was in Heshvan. And we can go 87, there was another collapse. 2008, most of the collapse was in Heshvan, and it's not over yet because whatever collapsed, it did not return to itself and it did not fix itself yet. We're still in the aftermath of the financial disaster of 2001. Whoever did not understand that what was will never come back is going to experience a lot of disappointments because the structure that is still continuing from 2008, whoever is trying to hold on to the old-fashioned economy till 2008 is going to stay behind. And there's a new stuff that is coming in, and part of it, the whole Corona disaster, it's not a disaster in a way that it's kind of bringing to the surface a lot of social and financial, economical, political revolutions that are happening all the time, but it brought them up to the surface and it became kind of a catalyst to move them forward in a more intense way. Okay, so this is about this month. So as I'm saying, it's basically every year, there's one thing we have to say about this month. It's a month full of a lot of pressure. Why a lot of pressure? We went through a very special process during the month of Tishrei. Every year we go through this process. It's like you sending your car for an overhaul in the, as we say, for overhaul in the garage. It's like a very deep overhaul. And what happens after the car is really going to that overhaul? There's a month of stress test, and that month called Heshvan. So, what does it mean? Stress test, it means that you have to go up and down. It's a roller coaster. So hold on tight, strengthen yourself, embrace yourself. We're here for the ride. So it could be an amazing spiritual growth, or it could be a disastrous serial, the pressure and crisis. Depends. How do you want to choose your plate to be served during this month? So, especially nowadays, that we are in an amazing era, and I spoke about it a lot when I explained the Corona crisis, and the main symbol of the Corona crisis, the bat, which is one of the greatest symbols of the crisis that the Talmud is describing some 1500 years ago, our generation, and it speaks about two types of people, the rooster and the bat. The rooster is sitting there in the middle of the night, towards dawn. Everything is really pitch dark. He can't see any sign of light coming, but the rooster is sitting there waiting with enthusiasm, with anticipation. He knows the light is coming and he's going to be the first one to announce the coming of a new dawn. The bat is sitting and waiting with the rooster. And the rooster is asking the bat, what are you waiting for? Because for you, it's going to be a disaster. You can't stand the light. And that's two kinds of people that the Talmud is describing. That this kind of a person that can't stand changes, can't stand real growth. They want it to be, those kind of people. I want the good old days. I don't want, when it was small and dirty and it was so nice. Okay? And there are those people that anticipate for the transformation and the change. And of course, they live the change. They live it. They experience the change because they are the change. They are the agents of change. So even though it's dark, even though it doesn't look right, but they're excited about the change that is coming, and they're participating in that celebration of change because, if you come to this world to stay the same, you're missing the point. And if you're trying to hold on to the old stuff, Rabbi Ashlag is saying that the word, one of the worst words in Hebrew is avera, transgression. And Rabbi Ashlag, the founder of the modern Kabbalistic movement, says the male form is avar, past, female form, avera, transgression, which means whoever is holding on to the past, he is in the frame of avera, transgression. And that means that you are feeding the darkness, and whatever is darkness, you'll participate and you'll support it. And that's why the bat-like of people, they can't stand the change. They're anti-change, they're anti-growth, they're anti-evolvement and improvement. They want to hold on to the good old days. And that's very sophisticated because, there are two kinds of people. There are the kind of people that whatever happens, they'll find the good side and they'll find the transformation they can achieve out of it. Okay, and the gain they can achieve out of it. On the other hand, there are those people that any change will find them complaining and upset, and they can't stand it, and they'll turn it into a disaster. Which ones do we want to be connected to? Of course, that we want to be connected to the rooster-like. And that's why the Zohar says it about our generation. Woe to those who would live in this generation, and praiseworthy and happy are the ones who are going to be able to really get the best out of it. And the secret is emunah, says the Zohar in Parashat Shmot. What is emunah? Connection to the spiritual world, and the ability to connect the spiritual and the physical in everything that you do. When you have real faith, real emunah, and you know that everything is for the good, you'll be able to basically enjoy the ride. But if you're holding on to the past, it's not going to be nice. And that's why when we go back again to the coronavirus, we're still in that ride. We thought it's going to be over in a few months. It's going to stay here for a while. More variants are coming, more cycles are coming, and we will have to learn that, different people, as I said in the beginning, experience it differently. People who carry the hurt, people trying to hold on to the past, they're more susceptible to this disease. Like young kids that are so optimistic and fresh about life, they're almost not affected from the plague. Why? Because the future belongs to them. That's their outlook about the future. People are aging fast and holding on to the hurt, and they don't have the energy and the ability and the openness and the trust to look forward for the sunrise. they are more susceptible for the coronavirus, and they are also agents of anti-change, anti-move, anti-transformation. Okay, so let's see what else do we have about this month. So first of all, let's go to the Kabbalistic definition. How do we formulate the power, the energy, the frequency of the month of Heshvan? So how do we do that? First of all, we divide the astrological calendar according to the biblical division into 4 seasons. 4 seasons, and Heshvan is on the 3rd season, the fall, Stav. Now, the fall is among the 3 seasons, is connected to the letter Vav of the Tetragrammaton. What does it mean? You have 4 seasons, that means Yud, K, Vav, K. Yud is the first letter, that's the spring. Hey, the upper Hey is the summer, and the Vav is the fall. What does the letter Vav symbolize? The letter Vav symbolizes air from the 4 elements, fire, water, air, and earth. The third one is air, Sfirat Zeranpin, air, and air symbolizes A, logic, philosophy, contemplation, thinking, analysis, and so on. And therefore, the 3 signs of the fall, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, all 3 are fast thinkers. They're very intellectual. They're brilliant. Usually, most of them are brilliant. Most of them have a very creative nature, and they have a very fast thinking. Oh, we're talking about the 3 signs of the fall. Okay, they also are very sensitive to imbalance. Let's say, to the communist revolution. The slogan was, all the workers of the world, all the low class of the world that suffer injustice and abuse and so on, they should unite in order to restore justice to the world. This is a slogan that is very, very fit for these 3 months: Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. All 3 could be great agents of change, and especially change for the purpose of finding justice and equality and the sensitivity for all of that stuff. Okay, so now what's the difference between the 3? So we divide every season into 3 columns: right, left, center. The second one is always the left. Left means the negative. Negative means the fire. So if the whole season is air, intellect, sensitivity, and the need to find the balance, this is the fire of the 3 signs. Okay? But I heard that Scorpio is a water sign. Yes, it is also a water sign, which means sensitivity, emotionality, and very strong, deep cravings, desires, and deep thoughts and emotions, and also mystical. Okay, so all of these play in a Scorpio, the sign of Scorpio. All these 3 forces. It's not just a water sign. It is a water sign with an air sign deep inside, and also with the fire element also. So you have that mixture of air, water, and fire in the sign of Scorpio. So on one hand, we know, as I said again, Scorpio are usually brilliant people. very thinking, very philosophical, high ideas, very lofty ideas, and with a lot of sensitivity for justice, and they'll be there for the justice, and also deep honesty. Okay, that's one thing you can find among a lot of the people of the sign of Scorpio. By the way, again, I have to mention, can't say that I'm going to describe here within an hour the nature of 1/12 of the population of humanity. No way. We're talking about, there's a type that is called Scorpio, according to the book of Yetzirah, Sefer Yetzirah, and according to modern astrology and ancient astrology. We are not only one sign. We have the rising sign. We have the 12 houses. Whoever knows what astrology is, every human being is a mixture of all 12 signs of the zodiac. Thank God. Okay? Now the question is, what is more dominant? And especially if, let's say, somebody is born tonight, okay, in Israel. It's already the first day of Heshvan. So by all means, this is Scorpio. However, in the solar calendar, this is the October 6th, that's still Libra. Okay, so what is he? Is he a Libra or is he a Scorpio? And the answer is, the type of the soul is being determined by the moon. The moon is the symbol of the human soul. What does it mean? A human soul is a vessel for the light. It has no light of its own. Same way as the moon. The moon has only the light it can reflect. A human being has only the light it can reflect. Okay, you're not a generator of light by your own. You can reflect the light of the Creator, nothing else. If you think that the light belongs to you, you're up to trouble, big trouble. Okay, so because the soul is more after the moon, whoever is born in the month of Heshvan, no matter, as I said, the sun is still, in the solar system, is still in Libra. However, the moon already reversed to the new moon that was today, already reversed into Scorpio. How does the moon know how to revert to Scorpio? Because on Shabbat, last Shabbat, in every synagogue around the world, we told the moon that it's going to revert to Scorpio in the new moon, the coming new moon. And that's it. So the soul, the nature of the soul, the nature of the tikkun of the soul is Scorpio if you're born in the month of Heshvan. Now, since the sun is still for another period of 2 weeks or something like this, the sun, yes, like 2 weeks, the sun is still in Libra. That means there's a lot of Libra influence over the charts of people who will be born in the next 2 weeks. Still, the main dominant power is the power of the moon. Now, we have also the rising sign and all of this. So when I'm speaking about Scorpio, I'm not saying all Scorpios are the same. God forbid, it's impossible even to think logically. It's like this. But there's some traits that statistically will be more common among people who are born under the sign of Scorpio. Okay? So, as we said again, this is the second month of the fall, fire, and that means that we have over here a combination of air, intellect, wisdom, high sensitivity to injustice and imbalance, and being an agent for revolution, change, and transformation. That's coming from the earth sign. From the fire sign, we have the very, very strong passion towards things, and that's connected with the deep emotionality of the water. So that brings us that the Scorpions, they have a very strong, deep passion for stuff. They cannot stand stuff that has no meaning, no taste, and they don't even stand people who have no vision, no direction. They need intensity. They admire intensity. Usually they generate intensity in a very intense way. I remember years ago, I was sitting with somebody, we were spending a Shabbat. It was a very amazing, calm Shabbat in the countryside. There's nothing around, just like big orchards of citrus. It was quiet and so on. This lady is sitting next to me and she said, if I'm not going to eat a watermelon, I'm going to die. I said, you're a scorpion. She said, how do you know? I said, only a scorpion can turn a desire for a watermelon into life and death issues. Okay, everything there is very intense, and when they do stuff, it's very intense. Now, that can be very creative. That means they're very creative people. They want to do something. They'll go all the way in a huge intensity. However, that can cost whoever is trying to stand on the way. That can be very, very dangerous for them, because scorpions are very intense and powerful people. What else is there to give them that intensity? We have two more things. One, that we know that, as I said before, the Hebrew letters generated 22 basic forces that are the building blocks of all what you see in this universe, in the spiritual and in the physical realm. Okay, the Hebrew letter Nun created, according to Sefer Yetzirah, the sign and the month of Scorpio. And that means that the letter Nun, that is the symbol of falling, is again giving us another code for all the collapses, the crisis, the collapse of the social media. If you ask me what's the best time, collapse of social media that billions of people are using, that's a very Scorpio thing, right? Collapse of the stock market, but in a way that it affects a lot of people around the world, big systems. That's Scorpio. There's another thing in Scorpio. It's about the revolutionary context. It means whatever, as I said, is not stable enough, and its time is up. That's when the collapse will happen, or be connected to, or initiated, so something new can come out of it. Now, as we said, Scorpio is a month that is after Tishrei. So it's a lot of intensity. It's like whatever we go through to the month of Scorpio, it's like we are creating the habits for the new year. We are realizing what was not fixed during Tishrei, and whatever we have hardship with during Heshvan, it means we'll have to deal with that for the rest of the year. So if you want to set the goals of what are the main issues I have to deal with, fix, overcome, correct during the coming year, don't worry, watch it. Whatever is happening to you during the month of Heshvan, write it down. This is the analysis. It's like you have this tester, the car is going through this stress test and is checking all what's happening when you go up the hill, down the hill, the brakes, whatever. This is the analysis of what needs to be corrected after the cycle has been completed by the end of the month of Tishrei. So stress, we said, that is stressful time. During stressful time, some people grow, some people collapse, some people experience disasters. Okay, the flood happened in the time of Scorpio. We read always, every year, the story of Noah and the flood in the beginning of the month of Scorpio. The date, it says in Genesis, the date of the flood was the the 17th of Heshvan, 17th day for the moon of Scorpio at that year. What does that mean? Again, there was a civilization. You can call it Atlantis or the flood civilization, very advanced, very, very corrupt, very, very connected to its deepest desires and corrupted desires. And the time came up on Scorpio to finish that, destroy that, and build a new one. Like, again, the communist revolution. Let's destroy the old world. Let's build a new world. Scorpio love transformations like this. And also they have an amazing abilities, on one hand, for self-destruction, on the other hand, to be really excited about rebuilding themselves and renew themselves. Okay, so now so the letter Nun, which means fall, collapse, expiration date, that's a letter Nun. The end of what does not belong anymore, that's a dominant letter that is the ruling energy during the month of Scorpio. So again, if we develop that kind of intensity of loyalty, faith, and integrity, connecting to the true essence of values, the spiritual values and ethics, then the month of Scorpio for us is amazing, so exciting, because it's a time for revolutionary brain and minds. That's a time to make revolution, first of all, in our own world, to get rid of stuff that don't belong anymore, to have the guts to get rid of it, and to start all over again something else. Okay? There's another thing that we really need to understand. Scorpios, as we said, have very strong and deep passion. The problem is, what if the passion is towards something that is not spiritual? Okay? Because the intensity is so big, if a person who is a Scorpio, this is the time of Scorpio, and the passion and the intensity gets into you, if you do it wrong, the self-destruction is very violent, very painful. If you do it right, which means it's coming from the right intention, the growth is very intense. The growth is very powerful. Okay, so again, people who belong to the sign of Scorpio, or everybody else during this month, if you're not very spiritual, this is a not so easy, and especially nowadays, when we're talking about the year 5782, it's a very, very risky month. Very risky month. So this is the time to really align ourselves with our spiritual side, so the pain won't be that intense and the disappointment won't be that intense. And we know also that Scorpions, when they fall, if they're not spiritual enough, it's very dark. Like failure is very dark. They have a very strong, whoever knows, the animal, the creature, Scorpion, they have, when they feel that they are surrounded, they sting themselves to death. Scorpions, they have the tendency to sting themselves to death. To get into such a, because Scorpions, they have a very powerful trait to focus on stuff. That's why they're very, very productive. When they focus on achieving something, everything is dead, nothing exists. They'll go straight to the point, and they will do that. Okay, they will not let anything distract them. Exactly the opposite from Libra, who can fly. They start something in the middle, they remember something else, and they do something else, and then by the time the day is over, they did 10,000 things. They didn't finish it in anyone. I'm exaggerating. But Scorpions, they see something, everything is dead. They see it, they do it, they achieve it, finish, next. Very practical, very practical. What if they are connected and focused on something negative? Failure, pain. Then it's a suicidal. Because the moment they focus on darkness and pain, there's nothing else, only darkness and pain. So then what's the use to live? However, they have an amazing tendency to rise from their own self-destruction, which means for the sake of transformation and revolutionizing their lives, they will destroy everything just to start all over again. Okay? Not everybody can bear such a nature. Now, when we are talking about the 4 seasons, and again, the 4 letters of the name of God, that remind us the chariot of the prophet Ezekiel in chapter 1 in Ezekiel. And when Ezekiel sees the chariot, it has 4 faces. 4 faces. The face to the right, to the south, that's a lion. That's the energy of Chesed, right column. The Leo, lion, is the middle sign of the summer. Okay? Leo is the middle sign, the second sign of the summer. Okay? And the summer, the energy of the summer is water. Bina, Chafetz Chesed, that's the source of sharing and giving and water. Okay? That is Leo. So it's all about the drama and emotions and so, but about the grace I'm giving, like I'm the king of the sun. Okay? Then we have on where else? We have in the spring, we have the Taurus. We're in the middle of the spring, and the Taurus is the ox. That's a face to the north. So the ox, here we see it, that's the Gvura, judgment, and all what goes with that. Then you have the face to the west, that's a human face. And if you look at the winter, the 4th season, okay, and the middle sign of the winter is Aquarius. And Aquarius is the bucket. But who's holding the bucket? A human being, a whole human being. That's the man. That's the man that is also the symbol for the Messiah. That's why Aquarius is the age of Messiah. Age of Aquarius, age of Messiah. So what's left? We have the eagle to the east. And the east, that's the 3rd season, the autumn, the fall. Okay? So, but this is a scorpion. The middle of the season is a scorpion, not an eagle. But if you know, like more spiritual astrology, you know that a scorpion has 2 faces. One face is the non-spiritual, the more materialistic, not advanced Scorpio that is very much into deep, strong emotions, ambitions, desires, and especially the need for controlling others. With power, with wits, with all kinds of underground emotions and desires, everything is, Scorpios are very secretive, very secretive. Everything is covered. The things are so secret, and most of them don't even know themselves because it is so deep. It's very hard for them to get in touch with their own emotions, with their own secrets. So, if the Scorpio is not spiritual, it's a power game. You always around Scorpio feel that there's always a power. Somebody wants to take over you, control you, and get in charge of your life. Okay? It's always about power games. But as we said, when it is selfish, that's the animal, the scorpion, that finally poisons itself. And the biggest enemy of a Scorpio is his own self, because that always brings to emotional crisis that brings into self-destruction. On the other hand, When a scorpion is becoming is transforming all of that intensity to spiritual growth, like one of the greatest teachers of them all, we're talking about Rabbi Chaim Vital, that he was the main student of Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Arizal. He was a scorpion. Everything was so intense in his life, and therefore he merited to be that person that Rabbi Isaac Luria handed over the secrets of the universe and let him write it down. Okay? If you read about the life of Rabbi Chaim Vital, very, very emotional, very, very intense. Okay? Now, but very spiritual, because then when that is the focus, they achieve everything they want. Now, so that's why when they want the spiritual realm, then they become the eagles. When they are connected to the physical materialism, then they are scorpions and they are dangerous to themselves and also to others. Although on the outer realm, they have, they're very good at being like secret agents. You never know what's going inside them. They'll never tell you. Okay? If you really want them to tell you their secrets, you have to do everything you can to ignore it and to make a show like you don't care about the secrets, because now the only way to control you and to get your attention is to tell you the secrets. Okay, now let's move on, and we'll see that there's some other layer. There's also the layer of the letter Dalet, which is, Dalet is the letter that is controlling the forces of the planet Mars, or in Hebrew, Ma'adim. Mars means in the Greek mythology, that's the god of wars. Ma'adim means in Hebrew the red planet. Okay, red, fire. So it is again the planet of wars. Why? Because the letter Dalet comes from the word dalut, poverty, lack. So if you have the Nun falling and the Dalet lack, okay, and then you have the planet Mars, which is fight, wars. So it could be wars for holy goal, for holy reason. A war for something righteous, for balance and injustice to be overruled, overrun. But that's the major power. So these, and it's very passionate. Together, the two letters, Dalet and Nun, Dan. Dan is one of the 12 tribes, 12 sons of Jacob. Dan, he is, from Dan came out Samson. You know, the great Samson, the powerful Samson, the hero Samson, that was very, very deep into emotions, into power, into sex, into revenge, into power games. Very, very, very Scorpio, like those stories. Okay, so let's try to get it from another place. We know that the tetragrammaton, the four letters of the tetragrammaton, they have 12 different possible permutations. Each one of them, says the Zohar, symbolize or manifest the frequency of one of the 12 signs of the zodiac. When you meditate on that sequence, especially on Rosh Chodesh, on the beginning of the month, you have more connection to the frequency of this month and to get the best out of it. The sequence or the permutation that belongs to the month of Heshvan is Vav, Hey, Hey, Yud. Vav, the letter Vav, the letter Hey, the letter Hey, the letter Yud. Vav, Hey, Hey, Yud. Okay? And of course, the Zohar tells us what verse in the Tanakh is connected to it, and he says that that's from Parashat Tavo. Parashat Tavo is a book of Deuteronomy, Dvarim, chapter 26, verses 15-16. And that's Udvash Hayom Hazeh Hashem. Udvash, and it is honey, Hayom Hazeh, this day, Hashem. Okay, that's what it means. What does that mean? As we said before, the traditional name of the month is Mar Heshvan. Mar, the bitter Heshvan. Why calling this month bitter? So some say because there are no holidays in this month. The other holiday, Tevet has no holidays. Okay, so you call it the bitter Tevet? No. Why calling it the bitter? So Mar, there's a bitterness in Heshvan because of the Nun, because of the Dalet. Okay, because of that, the Nun, as we said, that's falling. It always leaves you with a feeling that something is missing, and if you get hurt, you become susceptible to all kinds of viral lungs diseases. Okay, because it's all about going around in God's world and being hurt all the time, and it means you didn't get the point that everything that happens to you is all for the good. Just you have to take the opportunity and rise for the occasion, because we are not here to rest on our laurels. We're not here to have comfortable, easy lives. And Parashat Noach is always in the beginning of this month. Noach means comfortable. But the Zohar explains to us, you want to feel comfortable, you need to be always in a constant fight for your values. So much for the spiritual Scorpio. They're always fighting for the values, always fighting for justice, they're always fighting for the right thing, no matter how many heads they're going to remove on the way. Okay? That's not always good. Okay? Because it says, do not kill. Udvash Hayom Hazeh Hashem, and Rabbi the Bnei Sachar, one of the greatest Hasidic Kabbalists in the 19th century, he said if you take the word Udvash Hayom Hazeh Hashem, and it is honey, which means you turn the bitterness into honey. And that's the initials of this sequence, Vav, Hey, Hey, Yud. But if you take the words of this verse that we just read, they have together 16 times. The Gematria is 16 times the Tetragrammaton. Okay? And Gematria, it's also twice Isaac, Yitzchak. What is Yitzchak? Judgment. What is the main trait of this month? Judgment. Judgment means, on one hand, fire, excitement, deep emotions, but it means also delay, falling, okay? If you hold on to it on the wrong side, okay? Now, Besefer Yetzirah, so he teaches us, when it says that the letter Nun, המליך אות Nun, בריח, וקשר לו כתר וצרפן זה בזה, the letter Nun is connected to the smell, okay? And later on, it says that this month is a very special month because it has always a lack. And he says the lack in this month is because when King Solomon was building the first temple, he finished the construction on the month of Heshvan. He did not want to celebrate the beginning of the temple time on that month. He waited 11 months till the month of Tishrei. On the month of Tishrei, 11 months later, he dedicated the temple, and the temple in Jerusalem started to function as a temple. So the Midrash is saying the month of Heshvan was like, the temple was ready during my time. How come I didn't get the merit to have the temple dedicated now in my time? So there's kind of a sourness, bitterness in, I had it and it ran away from my hands. I need it, and that's a lack of, because the temple is a symbol of completion. So, Vayam Heshvan mitbayesh. So the Midrash said that the month of Heshvan was ashamed, humiliated. Okay? So the Creator himself promised him to pay him back in the future. Why? Because this is the month of the final revolution, the revolution of the coming of the Messiah, the revolution of which all the old structures, society, religion, whatever is anti-spiritual, whatever is not serving humanity to become the best we can become, the huge revolution, the biggest revolution of all of them, which is the Messianic days, that will happen on the month of Heshvan. And therefore, the third temple will be built during the month of Heshvan. So, by the way, we get it that the first temple has been dedicated, says the Bnei Yisachar. The first temple was dedicated, according to that, in Tishrei, the previous month that just was finished now. The second temple has been dedicated completely Chanukah. Chanukah was Kislev, the third month of the fall. And the third temple will be dedicated in this month, Mar Cheshvan. So we have all three temples in this season. Okay? This is also, says the Bnei Yisachar, Elu shlosha chodashim al pi seder adgalim. If you look at these 3 months, we're talking about when we talk about the creation of the zodiac signs and their structure, we talk about the 12 sons of Jacob. However, when the Israelites leave Egypt and they go to the desert, after the Mount Sinai revelation, they are being set in a very special way. When they camp, you have the tabernacle in the middle, then you have 3 tribes to the south, 3 to the north, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. Now, they represent now a new aspect of 12 signs of the zodiac. Why does it have to be new? Because we have to remember, among the 12 signs of the zodiac, we compare it, the moment we compare it to the 12 sons of Jacob, so the tribe of Levi corresponds to the month of Sivan, Teomim, Gemini. Now, in a new structure of the 12 tribes in the desert, Levi is not one of them because Levi has no tribe of its own. And also, when they enter the promised land, the tribe of Levi does not get its own land because they are the teachers and the priests of the nation. And they camp next to the tabernacle in the middle. So takes their places. And also, Joseph, who's one of the 12 sons of Jacob, he has 2 tribes. Okay? So, where is that? So what happens is that when we are talking about the walking in the desert, it's a different setup of the tribes corresponding to the zodiac signs. When you're talking about the 12 sons of Jacob in the order of their birth, we're talking about a different setup of their connection to the zodiac signs. So when we're talking about according to the signs, why signs? Because it says in the Torah, chapter 1 of Genesis, that when the signs of the zodiacs have been created, okay, they were created to be signs, otot. And when the 12 tribes are also being called signs, signs like a banner, but sign is also a zodiac sign. See the game of words. Okay, so the three zodiac signs that are connected to the children of Rachel, which are Ephraim and Menashe and Benjamin, all of them connect to the fall. All of them connect to the three temples. Okay, so there's something special about it. So when we're saying, as the great Rabbi of Rimnov was a great Hasidic rabbi, that he said that always the financial problems, the taxes, uh, the crisis, they always happen during, or they start during the month of Heshvan. Okay? Also, why? Because was the month that after King Solomon passed away and the 10 northern tribes of Israel rebelled against the house of David, the result was that 200 years later, they went to an exile from which they didn't come back yet. Okay? We're starting to find some of them here and there. They found part of the tribe of Menashe in the northeast of India. So some of them are right now coming back to Judaism and making their way to Israel. Okay, now, but this was a time of rebellion against the house of David. Okay, so we see that there's some kind of a, on one hand, as we said, that wherever there is the lack, that's a place you can, when you connect that lack to the lack of the Mashiach, the lack of justice, the lack for real, true spirituality for humanity, in this month, this is the time we can achieve that. We can go on and on for many other issues, but the time is short and people don't have patience. If you want some more study, you can look down in the information of this movie, and you can have the link for other studies about the month of Scorpio. Thank you, and have a great, happy, safe, successful, and creative month, because whatever you can create on this month, because of its intensity, you won't be able to do for the rest of the year. Take the opportunity. Thank you, v'chodesh tov.